Hey guys, welcome back. We have some interesting stuff. We have some good news. You gotta love to see when the bad guys get reprimanded for what they're doing, when they're taking advantage of other people. My God, is it a sweet feeling. It took a long time for this to happen. This is something that I have been keeping an eye on in the background, but again, I think the FBI pretty much had this under wraps. It was a long time coming for this to happen. Hopefully we see more of this in the future with you-know-who. But before we get into that, let's hit it up with the disclaimer. Let's hit it up with the back to the camera. If you need to, pause it over on that screen if you want to read it. We got a lot to get through here. I guess most importantly here, the sweetest part of this entire thing is this nice little quote here from from U.S. Attorney Damian Williams. Our message today is clear. No matter what product you're selling, if you try to deceive the public to make money, you will be brought to justice. And my God, I absolutely love that. I'm going to get that tattooed onto my butt. Guaranteed. Maybe not guaranteed, but it'd be funny. It'd be a funny quote, right? Now, before we get into this, we're going to talk about the perpetrator. Again, a repeat offender, somebody who has generated some kind of infamy or whatever you want to call it, by trying to rob a bank. Yes, I get it. And once a criminal, always a criminal, apparently. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that learn their lesson when they go to prison, but apparently not in this case. So we had this bad boy right here, Anthony Curcio, who was addicted to drugs. So apparently he was stealing in order to get money for that, or he was addicted to stealing. I don't know. It seems like he got a rush off of it. He got a chub when he was doing interviews with people about how he was stealing things. He was stealing furniture dressed up as a mover, so he likes to cosplay, making and selling counterfeit cards on eBay. I think they were mostly sports card at the time. That's when he was dipping his toes, when he was only doing baby crimes. And at some point he decided, hey, maybe it's a good idea to rob a bank. So he planned it all out. He hired 15 people to show up in the same outfit that he was wearing. He sprayed an armored truck driver with mace, grabbed the $400,000 in cash that he was carrying on the way into the bank, ran off to a river, where he got into an inner tube. Yes, I know he got into an inner tube because apparently he tried to use a jet ski, but there were too many rocks. He escaped and went to Vegas, where he then cheated on his wife, did drugs, and watched a Britney Spears concert. Ended up being caught because a homeless guy saw him planning, hiding his disguise next to the dumpster. I don't know why he had to wear his disguise in order to plan it out. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but apparently that's how it happened. And the homeless guy, conveniently, who liked to do crosswords, wrote down his license plate number on a vehicle that was registered under his wife. So, whoop-de-doo, you got caught. So, what happens? He went to jail for 5 years. He had 2 kids who he left his wife to look after. A very responsible human being, very, very selfish human being, and it hasn't changed, apparently. Through all of it, he doesn't seem very remorseful, but claims at one point that he shouldn't have gambled with his family, and here he is doing it again. Clearly that was a lie, and he's probably heading back to prison for more fraud. Not really a surprise, because it seems like he gets off on the media attention, and shame on the media for giving him as much of attention and talking nicely to him, like sitting down, give him a little back pat about how he did such a cool heist. Insane story, yes, but at the same time, if it's somebody doing something bad, you don't need to give them the back pats. You don't need to do that. Now, what else we got here? We got a PSA statement that we'll look into, but let's first go through this. So yes, we have. He was doing counterfeits before. Now he's doing real cards, but they were in fake PSA cases. Be careful out there, guys. I have a direct line with the FBI. PSA has a direct line with the FBI. If you're committing fraud, if you're committing a lot of fraud, and you're defrauding them, you're going to get in trouble. They have the resources to take care of it. Does that not make any sense? Like, all these people that are altering cards and submitting them through PSA when it's clearly against their terms, even if you're polishing and you think, oh, well, no one's getting caught for it, whoop-de-doo. I'm sure we'll see like Zhao turn up in one of these articles at some point here. All right, we have Damian Williams, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, and James Smith, the Assistant Director in charge of the New York Field Office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, announced today the unsealing of an indictment charging Anthony Curcio, aka Brandon Woolley, and Iosif Bondarchuk, aka Joe Bondarchuk, with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and wire fraud. The charges arise from the defendant's fraudulent scheme to defraud buyers and marketplaces to purchase sports and Pokemon trading cards at false and inflated prices by misrepresenting that low to mid-grade cards had received high-grade ratings from a reputable card authentication company. Company one, it's PSA. I mean, we're going to see the cases here in a minute anyway, so it's weird that they kind of blunked that out, but I guess that's protocol. Thereby causing victims to pay more money for the cards than they otherwise would have. Curcio and Bondarchuk were arrested this morning and are expected to be presented today before a U.S. magistrate judge in the Western District of Washington. This case assigned to U.S. District Judge Ronnie Abrams. All right, we got to go through the quote. My God, I love the end of this quote. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams says, as alleged, Anthony Curcio and Iosif Bondarchuk carried out a brazen nationwide fraud scheme involving valuable sports and Pokemon trading cards to deceive buyers and marketplaces, ultimately amassing over $2 million in fraudulent and attempted sales. So not only do you have to be careful if you're the one doing the fraud, but if you're associated with this fraud, if you're assisting in this, you better be on the lookout. You might think, hey, I could say some mean things to Rattle Pokemon. I can make them miserable. I can threaten them. I can do that kind of stuff. But you know what? You know what I don't have to worry about? I don't have to worry about the FBI knocking on my door. So enjoy that. Enjoy that, guys. For all those fraudsters out there, all the high-end fraudsters, if you will. Congratulations. They'll come eventually. Curcio and Bondarchuk allegedly sold and tried to sell at inflated prices cards of various professional athletes, including, among others, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Nolan Ryan, Larry Bird, Julius Erving, and Magic Johnson, as well as various valuable Pokemon cards. Thanks to our law enforcement partners, the dedicated prosecutors of this office, and the many victims who came forward, this alleged fraud has had its last dance. So we're talking about all the high dollar stuff that we've covered on the channel here. Like, just wait until these articles come out. Our message today is clear. No matter what product you're selling, if you try to deceive the public to make money, you will be brought to justice. We're talking, that fake case. That liquid marketplace and that fake case. My God, I would love to see an article on that. FBI Assistant Director in charge, James Smith, said, for over 2 years, Anthony Curcio and Joe Bondarchuk allegedly manipulated common-level trading cards to fraudulently inflate the retail price from its true market value by assigning false validity grades, resulting in more than $2 million in victim losses. This alleged scheme not only damages the reputation of a respectable authentication company, but the defendant's alleged actions also betray the trust and wallets of avid collectors. The FBI will continue to investigate all fraudulent behavior, especially those who seek to exploit the good faith of companies and consumers. So there's going to be, when a lot of this stuff comes out, when the fraud stuff comes out, there's a lot of people that are like the false positivity people that are like, oh, why do you cover all this? You're going to make the market bad. You're making it seem like there's more fraud than there. There's fraud. There's fraud. Where there's money, there's fraud. There's lots of fraud. Someone has to cover it. A lot of people don't want to deal with it. I get it. It's not YouTube friendly a lot of the time. It's not, you're going to have to fight with criminals. That's what I deal with. I know it's a surprise. If you want to do family friendly content, if you want to pump the hype, if you want to be a sweet little teddy bear that gives everyone a hug, tells people what they want to hear, maybe a half-ass kind of like talk about some fraud or some bad people, maybe only pick on the people that won't fight back, the nobody fraudsters, the nobody little scammy weenie deenies. Sure, you can probably do that. You probably get a back pat for it, but there's bigger issues. And thank you for everyone that supports me going after the bad guys out there. There are lots of bad guys out there. The priority needs to be put on the especially bad guys. The ones that no one will talk about, the ones that have been threatened to stay silent. That kind of guy. According to the allegations in the indictment, from at least 2022 to May 2024, Curcio and Bondarchuk sold and attempted to sell fraudulent sports and Pokemon trading cards to victims across the country. In total, Curcio and Bondarchuk attempted to deprive victims of over $2 million through their sales and attempted sales by misrepresenting the grade of numerous trading cards. So I don't know, like, you leave such a big trail behind when you're doing this, especially if you're doing it like repeatedly. It's not like it's not a bank heist where you're bank heisting and you're gone. Hopefully you get away with it. And clearly wasn't smart enough to get away with it either. People are giving him too much credit that like he tried to pull something off like it was a movie, but it clearly doesn't work. Like you left a giant trail behind. With this, there's so many transactions. There's so many cameras at events. There's so many witnesses. There's so many, like, it's all right there. And then there's the fraudulent case and everything else that, like, it all leads back to you. And yes, it takes a long time for the FBI to do something about it, to get everything together, to get everything organized. Maybe they don't have legal documents that they can reference about the individuals here that kind of outline everything that they've done or what they're up to, or a lot of it at least what has come to light. Sports and Pokemon trading cards containing the images of professional athletes and Pokemon can have considerable resale value depending on, among other things, the condition and authenticity. Company 1 PSA is a prominent card authenticator and grader. For a fee, it verifies a card's authenticity, assesses its condition, and assigns it a numerical grade from 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest grade and 10 being the highest grade. The grade assigned is reflective of the card's comparative market value. After grading a card, a PSA seals the card in a distinctive tamper-resistant plastic case that encloses the card to preserve its condition and indicates its grade on an affixed label. The card grade assigned by Company 1 PSA significantly impacts the market value of the card. So we got examples here. We've kind of seen that before. This bad boy. So this one sold for $170,000. So like when you're selling counterfeit cards, they're going for $170,000, and you're selling them yourself. You're gonna get caught. As is depicted above, Curcio advertised the 1986 MJ card as having a purported grade of 10 assigned by the company PSA. In truth, and in fact, Curcio knew that Company 1 PSA had not assigned this grade to the card. To further make it appear that the 1986 MJ card had received a rating of 10 from Company 1, Curcio caused a purported Company 1 label to be included in the plastic case along with a fraudulent barcode and certification number. Through the Manhattan Marketplace, Curcio and Bondarchuk sold various cards at inflated prices by falsely claiming the cards had been assigned higher ratings by Company 1 than was true. So very similar to like the Zhao stuff, but Zhao was like using the real label, fake case, and then taking the good card out, putting the bad card in. They were apparently just making their own labels. So Curcio and Bondarchuk also sold and attempted to sell fraudulent cards at in-person card shops, auctions, and card shows. Cameras at all of those places. Curcio further sold and attempted to sell fraudulent cards through other online platforms using third-party sellers. So I guess after the bank robbery kind of failed, then he went back to like the trading card fraud, I guess sports card fraud. When victims demanded refunds and confronted Curcio and Bondarchuk, including by showing them confirmations from Company 1 that they had misrepresented the grade of the cards they were selling, Curcio and Bondarchuk feigned ignorance and often refunded the victims. We've seen that before. Arjun Dillon, fake stamps. Shout out to Arjun Dillon, another person involved with the got their name, I guess, put in the mouths, in the notebooks of the FBI, not only for pretending he was associated with Kanye, but then also while he was supposed to be on good behavior, he was ripping people off in Pokemon cards with fake boxes and fake first edition stamps on shadowless cards. So hopefully we see some updates on him as well. Yet, after being put on notice that the cards' grades and labels were fraudulent, Curcio and Bondarchuk repeatedly attempted to and did sell these very same cards to subsequent victims, again with fraudulent labels showing an inflated grade from Company 1. Among the fraudulent cards that Curcio, Bondarchuk, and others sold and attempted to sell are a 1999 Pokemon Venusaur card and a 1999 Pokemon Charizard card pictured below. Of course, they got to give them the 10s. Got to give them the 10s. So, not only is this important to shut down the person that is, a person that's actively ripping people off, but also to kind of set the precedent that you can't do this. You can't. It's not a free for all space where you can commit fraud and just get off scot free. Like if you're manipulating things, clearly they're interested. Where there's money, they're interested. That's the scammers, the fraudsters. They might be interested because there's money, but guess what? That also gets the FBI investigating any of these incidents that end up being high dollar value, high profile, important things that need to be cracked down on. In July 2023, as part of the law enforcement undercover purchase of the above fraudulent misrepresented 1999 Pokemon Venusaur card for $10,500, a card which Bondarchuk had previously attempted to sell on an online marketplace, Curcio mailed the card to an undercover law enforcement purchaser in Manhattan after the undercover purchaser wired the money to a Curcio-controlled bank account. So that's the thing too. If you think Rattle Pokemon is scary with what he can dig out, what I can dig out, way worse. When the FBI wants to pull stuff, they're gonna pull stuff. There might be some hoops to jump through, a couple hoops, but there's less hoops. There's way less hoops. If they want to get information from someone, not even close. Not even close to the same league. If I can steer them in the correct direction and help in any way, if you guys can help by providing information, awesome. We're doing what we need to do. Mission accomplished. Curcio and Bondarchuk repeatedly used fake names and identities in order to conceal their involvement in the fraudulent scheme. God, it sounds familiar. For example, after a victim complained to Bondarchuk about his sales of fraudulent cards, including a Tom Brady rookie card, a John Elway rookie card, and various Michael Jordan cards, Bondarchuk gave the victim Curcio's phone number, but falsely told the victim that the phone number belonged to another individual who, in reality, was a leader of the Hells Angels motorcycle ring. So I don't know if they faked. I'm not totally sure on the wording for this. If they were pretending to be part of the Hells Angels, or if they were trolling and gave them, or not sure here. After another victim complained to Bondarchuk about his sales of fraudulent cards, is that like doxing? It almost feels like doxing a little bit. Where if you're setting somebody up, there's probably a word for it. Setting someone up to if you actually put them on a call with someone and it's endangering his life the same way like doxing, or if you had you called in or swatting, I guess. Swatting. If you called in a SWAT team or the police and filed a false report, you're kind of endangering someone's life. After another victim complained to Bondarchuk about his sales of fraudulent cards, including a 1968 Topps Nolan Ryan/Jerry Kuzman, a rookie card, Bondarchuk gave the victim Curcio's phone number, but this time falsely told the victim that the phone number belonged to someone named John Steele. So yeah, we got fake names. We're gonna play some mind games with the victims, mess with them. Congratulations. This has got to feel good for the people that were actually impacted, and good on them. A little bit. Hopefully they get their money back. Hopefully this is the end of these two idiots. Hopefully he gets more than 5 years this time. He gambled with his family again. Last month in April 2024, at a card show in New Jersey, Curcio gave a business card to a potential victim buyer, falsely claiming to be Brandon Woolley and listing, among other identifiers, a phone number and LinkedIn page purportedly belonging to Brandon Woolley. In truth and in fact, Curcio, and not Brandon Woolley, created and operated the LinkedIn page and controlled the phone number. So yeah, we got some disguises. We got alter egos. We got fake names. In furtherance of the fraud, Curcio ordered from an online marketplace various items needed to create forged card cases and labels. The items include various card grading cases, thermal transfer barcode labels, a magnifier loop optical glass, a handheld inkjet printer, a lock cutting kit, an electrical grinding pan, an abrasive buffer and polishing wheel, and abrasive and bristle brushes, and drill bits designed for engraving. Like, did his wife not see that he was doing this shit? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know what her involvement is, or if she just kind of like, clearly he's not up to something this time. Curcio, 43 of Redmond, Washington, and Bondarchuk, 37 of Lake Stevens, Washington, are each charged with 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 1 count of wire fraud, each of which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. I hope they get all 20 years. Especially Curcio here. If you didn't learn your lesson last time with the bank heist and the fraud to get the drugs or whatever, I don't know if he's back on drugs. No idea what's going on here that would make him think that it was a good idea to do this. The maximum potential sentences are prescribed by Congress and are provided here for informational purposes only, as any sentencing of the defendants will be determined by the judge. Mr. Williams praised the investigative work of the FBI. I'm praising them as well. Good job. I'd love to see this shit. The case is being handled by the office's illicit finance and money laundering unit. Assistant U.S. Attorneys David R. Felton and Kingdar Prusian are in charge of the prosecution. My apologies if I butchered any and all names in this reading that we're doing. The charges contained in the indictment are merely accusations, and the defendants are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. Of course. So that's what we got there. We got the PSA statement that we'll read through here. Let's see what's going on. We have PSA statement of the indictment of Anthony Curcio. Over the past 2 years, the PSA brand protection team worked diligently with the FBI as it built its case to charge Anthony Curcio with wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud stemming from sales of fraudulent sports and Pokemon trading cards. Many of these cards were sold in fake PSA holders. So, praise to PSA for this one, for working with the FBI for doing this. I think whether or not it's in your case or not, I think you should be working along with the FBI. I think all the grading card companies should be, in order to crack down on this. I think they should be, there should be like a ceasefire of some kind where they work with each other. If there's people submitting fraudulent cards or anything like that, they should be sharing that information with each other. No, you don't have to give the secret sauce on what plastic your crap is made of or anything like that. But if you can at least point people in the direction of like, hey, so-and-so is submitting cards through here, this is what they're submitting, they're altered in this way, that kind of thing. I think that needs to happen if it doesn't already. It's important. And yes, I know it's your competition, but more importantly, I think there's more value in these graded card companies to crack down on this stuff than there is on their actual opinion of what the card is worth or what condition the card is in. Protecting collectors from fraud like this is a top priority for all of us at PSA. It is an important step forward. I mean, they're protecting themselves as well, which, I mean, you probably want to keep that in mind. It is an important step forward for the hobby as a whole when operations like this are rooted out and dismantled by the justice system. PSA is focused on making sure its holders, labels, processes, and technology are continuously evolving to stay ahead of the bad actors in the hobby. It kind of sucks that that there are so many older versions of the label and stuff that might be easier to counterfeit. So keep all of that in mind. If you're buying stuff, be very careful who you're buying it from. I mean, not only could it be counterfeit, but it also could be stolen or something like that, and you could end up with a huge mess. And if you have acquired a PSA graded item for which you would like to either confirm the authenticity of the holder and or label, please visit our customer request center at psacard.com and complete a brand protection request. And then we have the article there. So thank you to everyone involved for cracking down on this. Hopefully we see more of this in the future. I mean, it's always nice to see that, like, you know, the wall kind of be broken down there and be like, yeah, it doesn't, we don't give a shit if it's sports cards and Pokemon cards. If you're committing fraud, you're committing fraud. If you're deceiving people to make money, you know, see my definition from the lawsuit. Insane. Love it. Again, guys, no matter what product you're selling, if you try to deceive the public to make money, you will be brought to justice. Fuck yourselves, every single scammer, everyone that's scamming, everyone that's whamming, everyone that is deceiving the public to make money. Here you have it. Looking forward to reading about you in the future. Take care, guys. Join the Discord. See you next time. Bye. Happy Friday.